Hey everyone, Amphibia is back. We got one episode this week, the first temple, which was twice as long. Uh, really big, really interesting. Spoilers, if you have not seen it, do not watch this video first. Watch Amphibia episode first, then watch this. Let's go. This episode starts with like Hot Pop trying to be extra nice to everyone, and like it shows that he and Anne still haven't really like gotten back to normal after the rain. And I like that because a lot of people, including myself, thought that After the Rain was resolved too quickly, but this episode was like, no, it isn't resolved. There's like a lot of tension between them, and like Anne doesn't know if she's ready to forgive Hop Hop, and I don't know if she really wants to. Like, or I think she does, but she's not ready for it, and like that causes a lot of problems for them just throughout the whole thing. Anyway, Marcy shows up. Love Marcy. She's on this big bird, and she's like covered in a pile of books. And then she just kind of bursts out of her like, hey, it's Marcy. You know, she's like, yeah, we're ready to go to the first sample. She like takes the music box and like winds it up because, you know, that's how music box works. And like takes out the first gem and she's like, yeah, we're going to get this thing recharged. They're riding on the bird on the way to the temple, and Anne is saying to Marcy like, hey, sometimes you get too focused on stuff, so you should be careful here. There's a flashback with like Marcy playing Flappy Bird on a Switch, and she's like in different locations, just like not noticing trouble. There was one with like Anne and Sasha. They were doing this play. Like Sasha was just like a pirate, and like I think Marcy missed her cue. And there's one where it's just like, I think it was Escaped Monkeys, but I honestly don't remember. I just watched it and I don't remember, where like Marcy's just like walking toward a zoo where they're like escaped monkeys, and Anne's watching the TV live broadcast about it, and she's like, oh god, Marcy! Marcy's like, yeah, we have to be really careful in this temple because, like, no one's made it out of these things alive. And Marcy's like, yeah, we could do it. And Aaron's like, oh, boy. The basic theme of this episode is that Marcy is, like, getting too overconfident and, like, I don't want to say full of herself, but, like, she doesn't really realize that she's causing the planners to get hurt. There are 3 puzzles in the temple, and Marcy's like, yeah, I can solve all of them. Like, the first one has this Rubik's Cube-esque thing, like, it kind of looks like this, but, you know, it's a real cube and not a stress toy. Anyways, the cube rotates the room and like activates these traps, and the planters are like having to deal with it, and Marcy's like, oh no, it's fine, and like she doesn't see it. They're getting like really beat up, and then there's this like floor with like different colored panels, and like, you know, the pink ones shoot fire and the blue ones drop spikes, and like the 2 green ones are good. And like Marcy swings over to the first green one and she's like, okay, someone else go to that one. And Anne's like, all right, I'll go. And Hop Hop's like, no, I'll go. I've lived a good life. You need to get out of this world alive. And, you know, it's like fighting on that, and Marcy's like, what the hell's going on? And Sprig and Polly are like, we don't really want to talk about it. I know Matt Braley said that this second half of the season we'd understand some of the problems with Anne and Marcy's friendship, and I'm thinking this is one of them, because it's like Marcy tends to just go in without thinking, or... No, it's not that she goes in without thinking, it's that she goes in thinking too hard, I think. I said think a lot of times. They're all walking through this hallway, and Anne and Hop Hop are arguing in the background. And Sprig's like, don't you think we should wait for them to be done with that? And Marcy's like, they'll be over with it soon. And there's a SpongeBob-esque 1 hour later time card with like Sprig's faces on it. I thought that was really cute. And it's like, man, this is a long hallway. The final part is like a chessboard scene. It kind of looked like the King's chessboard. And when I saw that shot in the trailer of Marcy like trashing a chessboard, I was like, oh, she's figuring out what the King is on. I'm like, no, that theory can completely... went out the window. I mean, she might still be angry about what the King is doing. More on that later. Like, really, more on that later. But not that clip. Anne and the planters are put onto the chessboard on opposing sides. So they're like going back and forth, and like all these pieces are getting destroyed. And then they're forced to attack each other. And, you know, Anne is forced to attack Hop Hop's thing. And like the game is like cheating. And like Marcy's struggling to figure it out because it's like Marcy's out of her element when things are random. Marcy's having a bit of a breakdown because she's like, I put you all in danger just because I was too confident about this. I just wanted to prove I was smart enough to solve this, and look at what happened. Before that, Anne was like, I don't know if I'm ready to forgive you, Hop Hop. I don't know if I want to. I don't know. And Hop Hop's like, oh man, I'm sorry I put you through all this pain. Because Marcy forfeited the game, she's like, I guess we won't be recharging the stone because we lost. But there are like these arrows which lead to this outhouse that they saw earlier in the episode, and it was like setting up some gag where it's like, the temple doesn't look that interesting. It's like, oh no, that's the temple. But, you know, the outhouse has the thing to charge the stone, and it's like, you know, the test wasn't just for your intelligence, it was also for your humility. And Marcy realizing the truth about what she's doing and willingly giving up, like that was able to charge the stone. And the first gem points to the second one, like you had that thing where it's like a laser is coming out, and it's like, yeah, we can like pinpoint this. And Marcy's like, let's go to the second temple right now. And everyone else is like, no, we need a break. So then we're gonna get like Marcy and more wood in future episodes. Then the ending. This completely threw me for a loop. I was not expecting this. It starts with General Yunan talking to the king. She's like, political unrest is getting worse. Like Grime and the Toads are still out there, and she's like about to mention Sasha, but she gets cut off because like a message comes in from Marcy to the king where it's like, oh, they got the first stone. The king's like, I have to leave now. The king goes down these stairs and he takes his crown off, and he's like, my lord, the prophecy is being undone. And I'm like, what the hell? And it's just this, I don't want to say Lovecrafted beast, but it's kind of like that. It had like a bunch of eyes, and it was kind of robotic, and it's just like, it's giving me Emperor Bills and the Titan vibes. I know I said before that I don't actually think he talks to the Titan, but it's like a similar vibe where it's like the king is like the emissary for this greater being. So like my thought is this being used to rule Amphibia and created the Calamity Box and the stones. And when I said in my big theory video for Amphibia that like, oh, some post-apocalyptic thing happened, this guy caused it. And King Andreas is using Marcy and Anne and the planters to recharge the stones to revive this being, and we'll probably see that in true colors, I hope. The green gem seemingly sucked out Marcy's magic, like her eyes were glowing and whatnot, and this is maybe what the king means by the prophecies being undone. Like maybe Anne and Sasha and Marcy are prophesied to defeat this being, and the king is trying to undo that. I was not expecting like the king to be serving this greater deity. Like I was not expecting that, and this is something.
I don't know if I like this.
You know, and a lot of people are like, oh, Marcy is gonna betray Anne, and that's what True Colors is gonna be like. But I'm like, I don't want it to be true because Marcy's so precious. And my evidence against that was the shot of Marcy trashing the chessboard, which now I know is wrong. So, but I just don't want it to happen. Like, I'm thinking that True Colors is going to be the king and this being not anything to do with Marcy's true colors. Hopefully, we hope. But hopefully we'll get more information about this being later in the season and what the king's actually trying to do. He's like trying to bring Amphibia back to its roots or something like that. I don't care if I kill you all just to get there. It's for the greater good. I can see him saying something like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching my Amphibia reaction this week. Stay tuned for next week.